You're 34. You just wired your mother $3,200 for the month, and your hands didn't shake doing it. That number used to be your whole life. Rent, groceries, minimum payments, and maybe $20 left over. Now it's just a transfer. A Tuesday. You close the app and go back to whatever you were doing. This is the part nobody ever shows you. Not the number, but the feeling on the other side of it. The strange, quiet weight of being the first person in your family to carry everyone else and still stand. Let's be frank. Breaking the cycle doesn't look the way you thought it would when you were 23. It doesn't arrive with a ceremony or a number that makes the past feel smaller than it actually was. It arrives in a wire transfer on a Tuesday morning, in a kitchen where absolutely nobody is clapping for you. And it arrives with something nobody warned you about, a distance between where you came from and where you've landed. Here's what this is really about: the math, the cost, and the silence that comes with being first. It costs more than money. The dollar amount is just the opening act. The real price is something else entirely. Frank's truth number 1. The first one to break the cycle carries a weight the family never sees and never names. Let's go back. You're 22, and your checking account has $314 in it that you're afraid to look at. Your mother calls that Thursday. The landlord raised the rent $60, and she's short. Can you help? You wire her $45 and eat peanut butter sandwiches for 4 days, so she doesn't need to ask twice. You don't tell her the $45 cleaned you out. You tell her you're fine and that everything is okay. And here's the thing. You weren't reckless. You were never shown the math that could have changed all of this. Nobody sat you down and explained that the paycheck is not the finish line. It's just the starting gate. Nobody told you that what you do with the first $200 of every paycheck is the whole game. You learn money the way most people from your neighborhood learned it, by watching what happened when it ran out. Your father, Marcus, good man, worked 30 years in the same shop, retired with $7,200 in a savings account. Not because he was lazy, not because he didn't work hard, because nobody ever taught him the difference between labor and capital. You watched that, you absorbed it, and for a long time, you ran the same system, just at higher speed. More income, same leak. The paycheck got bigger, and the paycheck got spent. New zip code, same zero balance. Here's where it turns. You're 26, and a coworker named Elias says something offhand that cracks you completely open. Elias brings his lunch every day, drives the same 11-year-old car, and never once mentions money to anyone at work. One Thursday, he tells you, with no drama at all, that he just paid off his student loans 2 years early. You ask him how. He says, "I don't spend what I make. I spend what I've already decided to keep." You sit with that sentence for a week. You pull up your bank statement on a Friday night and actually look. 17 subscriptions. 3 platforms you almost never open. A gym membership used 4 times. A box service canceled and restarted twice. The honest number is $411 a month going to things you had mostly forgotten you were still paying for. Frank's truth number 2. Most people don't have a savings problem. They have a visibility problem. You can't fix what you can't see. And for 4 years, you simply could not see where the money was going. So you start seeing it. First, one spreadsheet. Income column. Every outgoing dollar. Nothing off the page and nothing hidden. The number at the bottom, after everything clears, is $214 a month. The first money you've ever had to build with. Run it yourself. $214 a month. At a 7% average annual return, grows to $17,800 in 5 years. In 10 years, it's $43,200. Not a fortune, but it's the first money in your family's history working for itself. And that shifts something in your chest. So quiet you'd miss it if you weren't deliberately paying attention. You're not broke anymore. You're not rich. But for the first time in your life, you're building, and you know it. That's the first part of this. But it is not the hard part. The hard part is what comes next. You're 27, a new role, a salary bump from $42,000 to $57,000, and you don't celebrate by spending it. For the first time in your adult life, you negotiate the offer before you sign it. and they say yes. Your father Marcus never once asked for more. Not out of laziness. He just didn't know that asking was allowed. Frank's truth number 3. You cannot out-earn a mindset that was built for survival, not for building. The raise was never enough alone. You had to change what the raise meant to you before any of this could work, so you don't inflate. Same apartment, same car, just more money going in the direction you chose. The monthly number climbs. $214 becomes $350. Then $500. The compound machine you started is quietly doubling its own fuel. Run it yourself. $500 a month at 7% is $87,000 in 10 years, and $219,000 in 20. Not a lottery, not a startup, just a consistent decision made every month, whether the month felt good or not. You hit $10,000 in the account on a Wednesday afternoon, and there is no confetti, no call to make. No one in your family knows this number exists. You close the app and make a cup of coffee. This is the part they don't put in the success stories. The victories you can't explain to anyone who wasn't there. Age 28. You pick up a side stream, weekend consulting work, $800 a project, 2 or 3 a month. The honest number is this: 2 extra income streams, even small ones. Compress your timeline by nearly a third. By 29, your portfolio crosses $31,000. 3 years of quiet discipline, compounding on itself while you slept. Your mother still calls on Thursday nights. You always pick up. The calls are shorter than they used to be, not because you love her less, because your worlds are starting to run on different clocks, and you can feel it. She asks how things are going. You say fine. Good, because explaining the portfolio feels like speaking a different language. She wouldn't understand. That's what you tell yourself. The truth is, you don't want her to carry that worry. The wire transfers grow. $200 to help with a bill becomes $800 to cover the month. Then $1,200. Here's where it turns again. You're 30, and the distance you felt on the phone is now sitting across a dinner table. Thanksgiving. Your mother's kitchen. The same table. The same mismatched chairs. Everything exactly as you remember it. Your Aunt Dana asks what you're doing now, and you say something about index funds and long-term allocation. The table goes quiet. Not hostile, just blank. Nobody knows what to say about that, so nobody says anything. Your cousin asks you to pass the gravy. The conversation moves on. But something has shifted in the room's temperature. After dinner, your cousin pulls you aside. He needs $400. Won't take long to pay back, he says. You say no, gently, carefully, with a reason that sounds true, because it is true. But the no lands hard. Not because you're heartless, because you know what $400 invested now looks like when your cousin is 55. But he doesn't know that, and you can't explain it at the Thanksgiving table without sounding like someone else entirely. That night, driving home, you sit with a feeling you can't quite name yet. Not guilt, not pride, something in between. Frank's truth number 4. The gap from breaking the cycle is real, and nobody ever writes that into the ledger. Christmas that year. You buy your mother a coat, the kind she'd always look at in store windows and walk past. She opens it, holds it, says, "You shouldn't have spent this much." And you can hear the confusion under the gratitude. She doesn't know what your income is now. You never told her because you didn't want her to feel the gap, but she feels it anyway. In the weight of the coat, in the wire transfers she doesn't ask about anymore. Love doesn't close the distance. That's the part that surprises you. You thought the money would make this easier. More money flows home now. $1,200 every month. Steady as a mortgage payment. No questions asked on either side. You are keeping the roof intact. The same roof you grew up under. You just don't sleep under it anymore. This cost lives entirely outside the spreadsheet. You move forward only by moving away. And you cannot hold both. And the hardest part isn't the sacrifice. It's doing it with love, for people who may never fully understand why. You're 31. The portfolio sits at $52,000. Your income is $74,000, and the distance is wider than ever. Sunday calls. Your mother mentions a neighbor's son who bought a house. something in her voice asking you quietly. You tell her you're working on it. What you don't say is that buying a house isn't the move right now. You don't say that your brokerage account has more than most people in your zip code put in retirement their entire lives. You don't say any of it. Not because you're ashamed, but because you'd need to explain everything just to explain anything. At your cousin's birthday dinner, you pick up the check, quietly. Nobody makes a thing of it, and you're relieved. Later, your mother calls to say thank you for taking care of everyone. It's the first time she said those words. You sit on the phone after she hangs up, in a quiet apartment, not quite sure what you're supposed to feel. Proud? Maybe. But also, something else. Something they don't have a word for in your family's vocabulary. Frank's truth number 5. The silence you keep to protect the people you love is its own quiet form of generosity. One Tuesday, your mother calls, voice tight. The landlord raised the rent again. $400 more, starting next month. You tell her not to worry. You cover it. The call lasts 4 minutes. Then you go back to your Tuesday. The $400 she was afraid to ask about is what you make in less than 2 hours now. You sit with that. 9 years ago, that same $400 would have meant 4 days of peanut butter sandwiches. You remember what that felt like. You haven't forgotten where you came from. That's the thing people get wrong about people like you. You never forget. Stop the timeline. There is something about this part of the road I want to name before we go any further. I've sat in that silence too. After the calls, after the dinners, in a quiet that had no name for itself. The math I'm going to show you next is the honest part. The part that tells you this was worth it. The distance is real, the silence is real, but so is this. You change the math for everyone who follows. Your children, if you have them, will never know what $314 feels like at 11:51 p.m. on a Tuesday. They will never move $40 to savings on a Thursday just to move it back by Sunday. You ended that. That's not nothing. That's not a small thing. That is a generational shift happening in real time. In your lifetime. Let's be frank about what you are up against. The math wasn't designed to give someone like you an easy path out. The system isn't personal. It doesn't hate you. It's just built for people who already understand the rules, and you didn't. The bank profits most when you carry a balance. The car dealer profits most when you finance the full sticker price. The Paycheck system is built so that just enough arrives to keep you participating, not enough to let you opt out. This is the machine. Not a conspiracy, not a villain, just a system designed before you arrived in it. The honest number on the machine? It works for whoever shows up with a strategy. You showed up, you stayed. Frank's truth number 6. The machine has no loyalty to the system or to you. Whoever feeds it consistently wins. You've been feeding it consistently for 8 years now. Let's run the honest number on where that actually lands. Age 32. Portfolio $64,000. Annual income $81,000. Wire home $1,600 a month. And you are still building. The compound machine you started at 26 is now generating more in passive gains than Marcus earned in his best month. Not because you're smarter than Marcus, because you learned one thing he never got the chance to learn. The difference between building and surviving is not intelligence or discipline. It's information, and knowing it early enough to act. Marcus had the discipline. He never missed a shift in 30 years. He just never got the information. You did. Age 33. The portfolio crosses $80,000. The income has moved to $91,000. The wire home is now $2,400 a month. Your mother stopped asking where it comes from. She just knows it arrives, first of the month, without a call. The calls are still short. The distance is still there. But the roof is steady. And that was always the first job. You are 34 now. A year of compounding, a final push in income, a new discipline you don't even think about anymore. And this is the moment we started with. Your phone, your mother's account, $3,200. And your hands don't shake. $3,200. That's the number we started with. Let's look at it now from the other side of everything it took. Your portfolio is $89,000. Your income is $91,000 base, plus what the side streams bring. The machine is running, and $3,200 leaves your account on the first. Not a sacrifice, not a burden, a commitment that runs on autopilot. Your mother's roof is safe. Her car payment is covered. Her grocery bill doesn't keep her up at night anymore. You did that. Not luck, not a windfall. 12 years of quiet decisions that nobody in your family saw you making. The distance is still there. The calls are still short. There are still dinners where you translate yourself across the table, but the roof holds. And you've learned to carry both things at once, the love and the distance, without breaking. This is what it looks like when the cycle breaks. Not a parade, not a headline. A wire transfer on a Tuesday. Hands that don't shake. A balance you don't need to refresh. A Thursday that doesn't depend on a Friday paycheck. Run it yourself one more time. From $214 at 26 to $89,000 at 34. 8 years of consistent compounding. The honest number on what you've sent home over 12 years? North of $110,000. You rebuilt a family's floor from scratch while building your own. At the same time, with the same income that, 12 years ago, had $314 left in it. That is not a small life. That is not a quiet story. That is one of the hardest things a person does. And nobody gave you a roadmap. Nobody sat you down and handed you the math when you were 22 and scared. You weren't reckless. You weren't broken. You were just first. And the first always pays the full price of admission. Frank's truth number 7. The first to build doesn't enjoy the system. They build it for the ones who follow. The ones who come next won't carry this weight. They'll stand on the floor you built, and they won't know it's there. That's the point. That's always been the point. The best foundation is the one that nobody has to think about. Now, whatever number is sitting in your account at this exact moment, this is where the math starts for you. Not 10 years from now, not after the raise, right now, with the number that's there when you open the app, tonight. If it's $612, start there. If it's $0, start there. The number doesn't matter yet. The decision does. The machine doesn't ask where you came from. It doesn't ask what your father made or what your mother went without. It just asks how much, how often, and for how long. That's the whole conversation. You get to answer it now. You don't have to be the last broke generation. You don't have to pass this weight down to the next one. But you do have to start. Not big, not perfect, just a number, a direction, and a decision you don't take back. Go back to the app. Whatever the number is, add one line to it, 1 percentage point, 1 automatic transfer. You're not doing this to get rich. You're doing this to stop the machine from running on someone else's terms forever. Frankly, nobody showed you the math on this. Not school, not your parents, not the bank, not anyone you trusted. The math doesn't care that nobody told you. It doesn't care about your background, your starting line, or what year you begin. The math doesn't care. The next move is still yours. It always has been, from the very first dollar. If nobody ever gave you the Frank version of how this works, subscribe. That's exactly what this channel is for.